we're a couple minutes late because David and I needed to individually vent about some very different things in our lives. Um, I think
For sure.
his are more valid vents than my vents, but I had a couple things I needed to vent about, and that's kind of just diving into it, right? We might as well just dive into it.
Sure.
Um, I am
Big moves today.
I'm paying homage um, to I'm not.
Very rocky.
I will try not to get sappy about this, but it will be a little sappy. Um, I'm playing homage to a good baseball player, um, but he's not a good baseball player. He's a phenomenal person, and the Colorado Rockies traded Brenton Doyle today to the Chicago White Sox, and we'll get into the nuances of the deal and some of the other trade deadline moves that happened today, and the last couple days that were pretty big. But I just want to take this time really quickly to talk about Brenton. And in 2023, Brenton Doyle made his debut for the Colorado Rockies, and I, as Ordog knows, and as many of our followers know, I'm a big baseball guy. I love baseball, and I have followed baseball my entire life. I've been fortunate enough to. I think we're coming up on thousands of baseball games in my life, and I never in all my 34 years of watching baseball, I never quite saw someone play baseball quite like Brenton Doyle. And,
Wow.
if you know and you follow me, my season tickets that I have are right behind the first base dugout. But every game, I would take my walk around Coors Field and I'd plop my ass in center field to watch Brenton Doyle play baseball. And it was an absolute pleasure to watch that man patrol center field. And before I ever met him and got to know him as a person, I met his wife, randomly in San Diego. She came up to me and, I was wearing his jersey, and Rose and his daughter Braylon and I kind of had a conversation. And in one of my trips out to center field, I actually met his mom
Oh my
and,
gosh.
had a great conversation with his mother. And, before I ever met him, I got to meet the people that make him the man that he is. And when the people that you meet that make him who he is are as good of people as they are, it was no surprise that when I got to meet and got to know Brenton, that he was the man that he was. And, I made an Instagram post about it, and this is true. He is a top class, top class baseball player, but his baseball skills pale in comparison to the person that he is.
He's a better person
And
than he is a baseball player, and he's a great
and that
baseball
says
player.
and that says a lot. And he always took time for the fans. My favorite Brenton story will forever be last year at the end of the year when the Rockies did their tour lap of honor around the stadium to applaud the fans and everything. Every other player had left after being out there for a while. And 30 minutes after the last player was in, Brenton was still out there, interacting with the fans, signing autographs, taking pictures, meeting people, shaking hands. And, whoever said don't meet your heroes never met Brenton Doyle.
Yeah.
And, I am truly blessed to have gotten to know him. I've interviewed him. I finally got the interview fucking figured out, dude. And I finally have it in the place. The irony being, I got it figured out yesterday.
Yeah,
after over a month of having it. And I was going to then spend tomorrow editing it, which I will, and it will be up on Friday. um, but I will share a bunch of little snippets of that interview on my Instagram page, so please come
perfect.
follow it. And you will hopefully get a small dose of knowing who he is as a person. um, and I wish him just all the best in the world. I really hope that our relationship can continue while he's in Chicago, because it's I never thought in the you know in my wildest dreams of this company that I'd meet someone that I could have and hopefully will potentially be able to just call a friend, right? And not just someone that I work with. And I it sucks from a personal perspective, but it's so great for him. He's now going to a team that's a contender. He's going to be their starting center fielder.
Yeah,
He's going to
that's
be a lynch.
exciting, man. He's
He's
got to
going to be a
feel so good
linchpin in
about
that
it.
team. And it's just really good for him. It's a good career move for Brenton. I think it's just going to be nothing but good for him in his career. And Brenton, if you ever do watch this, all the best, my friend. I wish you, Rose, Braylon, your new son, just nothing but happiness, nothing but good vibes from here on out. From a personal perspective, I know that you've been through a lot in the last year. And I think that this is a new start, new chapter, all great things. And I wish you all the best, my friend. And I hope that we can continue this relationship. I hope that you can come on this pod again, and we can have another chat. But just kind of just a somber day for me personally, with the loss of Brendan Doyle from the Colorado Rockies. But
The loss, the trade. You could say a
the
trade. He's been
I'm
traded
calling it a
away.
loss. I'm calling it a
It's a
loss. I
loss.
mean, like, I'm calling it a loss.
It's in
I
the L
think that
column for sure.
it's in the L column, right? I think
Colorado
that
gets worse.
the Rockies lost, a gem. They lost a true gem. And baseball is a business. Everybody knows that. Sports are a business. Things happen. But you know, even when it's a business, it's important to see the other side of it, right? And so many people that follow sports forget that there's a person behind the sports. There's a person
Right.
behind the athlete. There's a real human being who has real emotions, who is real life that they're having to deal with outside baseball. And
Right.
a lot of people forget that.
Yep.
And I'm blessed to have seen that other side of him. And if you're a Red Sox fan, you understand that a lot, as I am wearing my hat, as you are. You see Jaron Duran, right, and the personal struggles and the personal things that he's gone through in his life that have translated onto the baseball field. And I think that has happened in a much more subtle way for Brenton.
Sure.
And I just wish them all the best. And now, from the very biased perspective to the unbiased perspective, I don't fucking get it, dude. Like,
Mm.
I don't really get the trade, um,
From the Colorado perspective.
from the Rockies' perspective.
Can
I
I ask really
mean,
quick, Travis? This is a different. I'm just going back to something you said. So, uh, is your is there any other podcast that B Doyle's been on? How long was your interview?
a little over an hour.
How many other podcasts has he done where he's talked for that long?
I don't think he's done any.
That's crazy. That's
I
amazing.
don't think he's done any. I
So if
know
you
that
want to
he's
know
been.
about the guy, you
If
gotta
you want to go,
talk to Travis.
and you will get a great insight to him.
Yeah.
I will hold my hand up to God and say, I'm not an interviewer. right? Like that's not something I wasn't a comm major, I never in my previous 12 years of being a professional, like in the real world, I never had any aspect of that. The first interview I ever did was with Jeff Criswell, and I took a lot of feedback from people and learned a lot, and hopefully I translated that into the Corey Sullivan interview, which is now out there. I hope I translated that into the Brenton Doyle interview. But as you know, and I think you will attest, David, I'm a personable guy, right? Like
Pretty
I
personable.
think a lot of the questions that I asked Brenton were real personal, real heartfelt questions. They weren't your cookie cutter things that you'd hear from if he was interviewed
Sports
by
media.
Major League Baseball
Right.
or the sports media. And so Chicago White Sox fans, if you want to know the man that you're getting, come watch it. And I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. Treat that man well.
Treat him well.
Really treat that man well. Treat his family well, treat him well, show him and the respect and love that he will give you, because I
Oh
guarantee
yeah.
you he will give it to you.
Oh yeah.
He will be, you know, I don't know a lot of the personal aspects of a lot of the Chicago White Sox players, but I'm hard pressed to believe that they have a more personable person on their team than him. Benny Batts is on the White Sox, so hopefully, Benny does a great job with him. Drew Romo, who's a former Colorado Rocky who was traded to the White Sox, is there, so he's coming to a comfortable place. But treat him well. You guys are getting a great baseball player, but a better person. And, please, please, please treat him well.
Well, I'm sure that is very exciting for him, and a little bit heartbreaking for the fans of the Colorado Rocks. Um, Also, Travis,
So
you said a lot of
let's,
beautiful stuff there with a knife.
yeah, with an,
Just
with an, that's not
with
a
a
knife.
knife.
This is a knife.
This is a knife.
This is a knife. We're going to be
Trav, what are you
opening,
opening?
Topps Chrome Hobby Box. We did one of these last week and we got fucking skunked. So let's hope we don't get skunked again. I have already sent my grievance to Tops. I didn't need to send them the link to this podcast, but if Tops want to know or sorry, not Tops, if Fanatics wants to know what I really think about them, you guys watch it. You'll
Watch the
you'll
last
get
episode.
you'll get an earful. Um,
Travi
but
hated.
but
Travi was on a
I was
hatred tear.
yeah, I was on a hate train. I was on a hate train.
Hate train. Thank
Um,
you.
I mean, here we go. Oh, wow. All right. Well, it didn't take long to know that this box isn't a skunk. Took one pack.
You found an auto already?
Already got the auto. Um,
Oh my gosh.
but before we got
I
the
hope it's oops all autos that
that
we
would be
get.
sick. Yeah, we get a God box. But no, second card, Brenton's new teammate right there, Murakama, one of the best rookies in Major League Baseball. So that's a good one. But we got Kennedy Corona, uh, autograph rookie card right there. Not a
Oh, that's
great
cool.
rookie card, no numbered, no nothing. But guess what?
It's an Astro.
It's not a skunk, and we didn't get skunked, and that's all I really care about.
But the other thing,
Um,
Travi, I just wonder, it's the first pack. You listen. Don't even open the rest of the box. Just pretend it's a God box.
oh, we're on a heater already, Ordog. We're on a fucking heater.
I knew it. I knew it.
We are on a heater. We are on a heater because in the second pack, we got reigning NL Rookie of the Year Drake Baldwin of 10.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
what a pull! Immediately gets it
so
off 10. That's crazy.
immediately, and then we got a Kevin McGonigal rookie card right afterwards. So
Wow.
pretty hot
Good
start.
start. Good
Pretty,
start.
pretty, pretty hot start right there.
Pretty hot.
Pretty. We opened two packs, and it's already better than the entire box from last year. from last week.
True.
So,
Every
um,
every pack will have a number or an auto, guaranteed.
dude,
Guaranteed.
if that actually comes to fruition, that would be fucking insane. Um,
You've had good luck on this show.
we have well, that's first. It's not going to happen. But we did get a Chase Burns ticket as
I like
another one.
those. Those are
So
neat.
and then we got Carson Bench rookie card, Mets rookie phenom right there. So hot
Trevor, we
stuff.
also we also had some other exciting, even good news. If we could change gears enough to talk about it, but the Red
Yeah, no,
Sox
I think that
swept the
I think we
Dodgers.
should talk about that. I mean, I think we can lean kind of into the trade deadline, overlap it a little bit, but there's no
That's
hotter
right.
team in Major League Baseball right now. I think the best team currently playing in Major League Baseball is
The
the
twenty
Boston
eight
Red
and
Sox.
five, the 28-5 Red Sox, as
28
I'll
and
call them.
4.
20-4. Okay, fair.
28 and 4 Boston Red Sox. And we got another numbered card already four packs, an autograph, one number card, another number card, Matthew Boyd of 250 right there.
Okay,
um
they're coming
and
in.
another Kevin McGonigal rookie card right there.
The same
uh
exact card.
the same exact card. I mean, like, screw it, let's be on the heater. But yeah, I mean, I think the Red Sox, first of all, them. I don't quote me on this. I'm not 100% positive, but in my head it makes sense. I think the Red Sox are the first team to sweep the Dodgers this whole season.
Yeah, I wonder.
I,
It certainly could be.
I'd be somewhat shocked if that's the case, but like,
No,
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't, right.
they've gone
And
crazy. Aren't they like
they
68? And what would that make them? 40 something?
so I don't know if you saw this, but
I can't do research right now.
the Boston Red Sox, this was like a stat, a couple days ago, through 108 games, the Boston Red Sox have had the exact same record in 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. They've been 57 and 51 through 108 games for the last 4 seasons.
How is that possible?
I don't know, but like, that's a great Saber metric. That's like an insane save. And this leads us to the next one. We're pulling cards that lead us in conversations. Uh brand new Boston Red Sox, Adley Rushman. Um
Adley
Brand
Rushman.
new Red Sox, Adley Rushman. And that trade was really interesting to me because they gave up Narvi, right? They gave up Narvi. They gave up their number one pitching prospect. They gave up two other prospects, but they got two catchers in return. I don't know many trades that I've seen that have been straight up for two catchers. So I don't really know. I don't know really much about or anything at all about the other catcher from the Orioles that the Red Sox got. But like, what does that mean for Connor Wong? He was not part of the
Right.
trade. He was then not part of the Giants trade where Marcelo Meyer went to the Giants. So I'm not 100% sure
Do they
what
bat
that was
opposite each other?
about. I'm not sure if he's a lefty. I'm not positive if he's a
That's my
lefty. Or
only.
sorry, a righty. Sorry, a righty.
That's the
Adley
only thing.
Rushman is a lefty. Yeah, I'm not positive.
Agreed.
I'm not positive, but I think that it's interesting when you look at trade strategies and stuff, right? The Red Sox gave up to get Adley Rushman, right? Like, not that Narvi and Connor Wong are bad baseball players, but Adley Rushman is just undeniably better all around.
Right.
Um,
Unfortunately so. Fortunately
but
so.
the Red Sox have traded away two good pitchers, right? They traded away their number one pitching prospect, and they traded away Sonny. Or
Yeah.
sorry, not Sonny. Was it Sonny? No, it was Connor Early, right?
Connor. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it was Connor early, but like
Connolly early.
Conley early,
Connolly early.
Conley early. But at the same time, like when if you're the Boston Red Sox and you're that blessed with pitching, like give them up. You don't need 10 top pitchers, right?
Right.
And it was a big conversation going into the season for the Red Sox who were going to be their top five because they had such depth at the pitching position that like not all seven of them can be in the rotation, and you're not going to throw some of them into the bullpen, right? You
Right.
need good starting pitching. And I'm glad that Peyton Tolley stayed. I love Peyton Tolley. I love his attitude. I love the way he pitches. He seems like a fun guy.
He looks
Um,
just like you.
Hopefully, Garay Crochet comes back. Right, he's been hurt for a long time. But it's crazy how in the last month, the Red Sox went from sellers to buyers so quickly, like so
Yeah.
quickly. And
It's a crazy run.
it is the definition of you can be out of it, but if you go on a hot streak, you're right back in there. And there are a couple
Yeah. But
teams
that is also such, I mean, a hot streak of like,
winning 16 games in a row is
7
crazy.
games, 8 games. You know, they won 15, and they
16,
did.
16 in a row,
They won 16 in a row
16 in a row.
with 28-4 is their last 32. I mean, even if you went on one of those runs, what they're doing, I don't know what exactly it is because people would say like when teams turn it around, they figure out the problems and they're doing good. It seems like there's still some problems. There's still people, but I guess when you see performances like
Sorry,
Andrew
former
Monasterio,
Colorado Rocky Warming Bernabel rookie
there
card.
we go. When
Former
you see players
Colorado
like
Rocky.
Andrew Monasterio playing, I feel like he's been playing out of his mind.
Dude, fucking Aroldis Chapman. Are you kidding me?
Araldis Chapman,
Dude, what is it? What is
crazy.
Aroldis? 43? Is he 43 or something like that? And the fact that he is just on this, he's just as good now as, oh, that is really cool. I had
Right.
a buddy send me one of these. Uh, the short print perspective cards, Albert
Ooh,
Pujols.
that's
That
cool.
is that is pretty fire. But
That looks great.
dude, this may be overstepping, but like in the last couple of years, I think Aroldis Chapman has gone from a borderline Hall of Famer to a bona fide Hall of Famer.
I think so. I think it's been solidified over the last
I
few
don't
years,
think
I'd
I
say.
don't think he has a championship. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I do not think he has a championship with any of the teams that he's been on.
I don't think
Um,
so either. I don't think
but
so
but
either.
just an unbelievable
Bad timing.
turnaround.
Yeah.
Unbelievable turnaround. But that kind of leads us unbelievable turnarounds to not an unbelievable turnaround, just kind of fuck it all. We're not going to have baseball next year, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. The
Oh
Los
boy.
Angeles Dodgers have ruined baseball. Ruined baseball. And
Hey, I
I heard
remember. I
no, no,
remember
no.
a few
Go.
months ago, Travis complaining about how um, owners in the league should have to spend a minimum amount of money. And look, you just gonna have to come at it from the other side too.
So I saw a conspiracy theory online. There is no backup to this whatsoever. It's simply a conspiracy theory, but it's one of those conspiracy theories where you kind of sit there and you're like, "Oh shit, that actually kind of makes sense." Which is if you know, the collective bargaining agreements expires at the end of this year, and so Major League Baseball's Players Association and the owners have been going through uh, conversations to try and get a collective bargaining agreement agreed upon so that there can be baseball next year. So the conspiracy theory that I heard is that the reason that the because first of all, the Tarek Skubal trade is fucking atrocious. Atrocious. Like the Detroit Tigers got fuck all in return for two-time Cy Young winner Tarek Skubal. And as my dad said, like, why did no other team in baseball give a better trade than that? And
Yeah.
the conspiracy theory that I heard is that I don't know what this is, but this one's a little Rafi Devers. Um, the
Interesting.
the conspiracy, Caleb Durbin. The conspiracy theory that I
He's
heard,
been great.
and there is no, as I said, no rhyme or reason to this, is that them trading to LA for as little as they did gives the owners power to get a salary cap because then
Mm,
people would be less inclined to agree to the salary floor. They want to hurt the Dodgers. They want to do all that, and so Scoob's going there is essentially a power play by the owners to get this figured out. And here's my perspective on
wow.
the thing. And I have used the Colorado Rockies as this example, and I will. Can't have a pod without Jackson Churio. Um,
Jackson Trio.
is Here's my perspective, and I'm going to use the Rockies as this example, right? So Dick Monfred, the owner of the Colorado Rockies, if you were to remove the net value or the value of the Rockies from his net worth, he's worth $700 million. Lots of money. In terms of baseball ship owner, not a lot of money, right? So a lot of the teams in baseball are there to make money for their owners, not to compete, right? And Dick Monfort is in that category, right? In As long as the Rockies maintain their attendance and stay in the middle of the park, then he makes money. So why does he need to change anything? Right. And I saw this bar graph the other day, which is percentage of revenue turned into players' salary. Right. And the
Okay.
number one team in Major League Baseball with that is the New York Mets. The New York Mets spend 90% of their revenue on players' salaries. And
Wow.
honestly, while the Mets fucking suck at it, right? While the Mets are terrible and they may spend a gajillion dollars, they don't spend that gajillion dollars
They're not
in the right
winning.
way. And my mom was like, "Well, why is that?" And I was like, "Well, they're assembling an all-star team of broken parts. They're not creating a cohesive team that fills gaps that make them competitive, right?" Over
Right.
50% of Major League Baseball teams spend under 40% of their revenue on player
Oh,
salaries.
wow. That's okay.
And again, it's just one graph. And if you're a statistician or a data guy like I've been my whole life, there's
Or a
other
margin of
nuances.
error, the way I've been.
There's other nuances that go to it, right? There's your parabola and things that you can figure out. But what that shows is that owners are more inclined to line their own pockets than spend the money on improving their baseball team. And we can
Right.
get then into the whole conversation of why I think that the Rockies trade deadline was an absolute F.
Yeah.
Is you need, yes, our salary's insane in baseball. And I believe that there should be a limit on contract years, and I think that they should get rid of deferred salaries. There's no way that that a team,
Deferred
any
salaries are
team
crazy.
should have deferred salaries like that. But like the Dodgers have over $1 billion in deferred contracts. That's fucking insane.
Crazy.
Insane,
Crazy.
right? But if you force these owners to take the income from their team and spend it on their players by creating a floor, it then decreases the gap from the top to the bottom,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
if you don't know the nuances of baseball, there is a salary cap. It's just a soft salary cap. And if you go over that salary cap, you have a luxury tax that gets put to the league, and then that money gets distributed to the lower levels, right? But if you don't then force the teams at the bottom who get that income to spend that income on baseball players, then the discrepancy is irrelevant, right? And that helpful money that's coming in means absolutely nothing. And I think if you want to create a more competitive Major League Baseball, then you need to. Ooh, Ordog's popping in and out. He's back. Um, you need to then force owners to spend money. Like you can't take billionaires and help them line their pockets. You need to take them. I've said this once, I'll say it again, I'll say it till eternity. I don't want an owner of any of my sports teams to get that sport team to make money off of it.
Right.
I want them to get that sports team to try to win. And this is where why am I blanking on his name? Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, while he's done it poorly, I want a Steve Cohen as my
Right.
owner.
He's
I
probably just missing
want
a great
someone.
GM.
He has separated himself out from the management of the team, right? He needs a better GM. He needs a better head of baseball operations. But I want my owner to treat the sports team like that they own as a toy. And I want them to treat it as the best toy that they can get, that they can show off to their billionaire friends. I want someone who is willing to spend hundreds of millions of dollars and they don't give a fuck if that hundreds of millions of
and
dollars come
then
back
and
to
then
them,
let you play with it.
and let us play with it and let us
Let
play with
Travie
it
play.
and
Let
let
Travie play.
Travi
Let him go to the
play.
park. Let him have a good
Ooh,
time.
Wrecking Crew, Jackson, Cheerio.
Ooh, that's
Um,
fresh, dude.
I want them to treat it like a toy and
Yeah.
not give a shit about how much money that toy makes them, but how happy that toy makes them. And, luckily for Mets fans, I know it hasn't quite worked out, but luckily for Mets fans, the owner of your team is a lifelong Mets fan. All
And a
he wants is,
billionaire. Billion,
and
billion, billionaire.
he's a 100 billionaire, or
He's a
maybe not 100, but
bill
10, but
billionaire.
dozen billionaire, right? He bought the Mets for the purpose of making the Mets successful, not to line his pockets. And
Right.
that's what I want. Even if you fucking fail at it, as the Mets have, that's what I want. And I think that there are not enough owners out there that do that. And the current system that Major League Baseball has does not incentivize owners to succeed in that manner.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And like,
Well, and on some level, it has to succeed as a business. There's a reality to that, but it doesn't have to be. These are
they're not
these are
mutually
teams that are
exclusive.
becoming
They're
more
not mutually
expensive.
exclusive, right?
Right. And the teams are getting more valuable every year. So it's not like you're going to lose out on the invest. Like you can put money into the team and make more money and make money all at the same time.
But like I'll give you the my perspective on that and my just 2 cents, which is if Dick Monfred were to go out there and in the offseason spend $100 million on players, well, guess what's going to happen? More people are going to want to show up to watch the Colorado Rockies. More people are going to come into the stadium to watch it, right? And because they want to watch he's retiring, but they want to watch Justin Verlander pitch, right? They're coming to watch a future Hall of Famer pitch, right?
Right.
They're coming to watch Hunter Goodman, right? They're coming to watch and see if Hunter Goodman hits a home run. They're coming to watch Brenton Doyle make a catch that no one else in Major League Baseball could make.
Exactly.
And if you're unwilling to spend that money and you're just okay with sitting at mediocrity, because the Rockies are a bit of a nuance, right? Denver's a transient city. They have so many people from other places that come in. So when the Cubs are in town, guess what? It doesn't really matter what the product is on the field. People are going to come watch the game because they want to watch the Cubs. When the Red Sox come to town, they don't really care. They want to watch the Red Sox. You play the Dodgers 3 times a year. You're selling out the stadium for between 12 and 13 games every year, regardless of anything, because the
Right.
Dodgers are in town.
Right.
So spend the money.
Spend it.
Spend the money. Spend the money and give the Colorado Rockies fans the better experience, because it doesn't matter how good or bad the Rockies fans are, the transient fans are going to come watch their teams anyway. So there's only an upside to it. You'll always have this level of attendance for certain games, but when they're playing the Minnesota Twins, okay, you can get more Rockies fans to come to the game.
I think we should have Travis, an official petition we should start for Travis to be the GM of the Colorado Rockies. I think you're the right guy for the job.
Dude, it's funny that you say that. In another Shohei Otani,
Good
um,
start.
in another lifetime, I actually really wanted to be in the front office of a baseball team.
That'd be amazing.
Like as you know, I worked for a minor league baseball team in college, and that
You
was
did.
my goal. And Travis is. It's ironic that I say that I'm lazy and I worked in investment banking for 10 years and it was fucking brutal. But like,
You're just
I
rude to
didn't.
yourself.
I
You
made
obviously fuck
well,
corporate.
no, I was willing to grind and put that in because I'd make a lot of money when my life sucked. But like to start out in the front office of a baseball team, your life sucks and you make absolutely no money. So like
True.
I didn't I didn't want to do that. But like
The Rockford
I actually think
Bulldogs
I'd be
wouldn't have
a
provided a ton of money.
no, the Rockland Bulldog the Rockland Boulders would not have provided me
Was
a
it the
lot of money.
Boulders? The
Um
Rockland
Yeah,
Boulders?
The Rockland Boulders. But like
Featuring
I
Jose
actually think
Canseco.
I'd be a good GM. My only
You would.
problem
You
if
would.
I became a GM would be I couldn't know any of the players. Like I'd literally have to have a fucking firewall up
Oh, you'd talk.
in
You would talk
in
to them forever. You would talk to
I
them
well,
forever.
it's not that. I'd get to know them and my personal perspectives on things would intervene with the business side of it,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
right? And like if I was the GM of the Rockies, there's no fucking chance this guy would have been traded.
Right. But that's not a
But like
bad thing either. That's what you
that
need.
then goes to my point. Like if I was the GM of the Colorado Rockies,
Yeah.
Jake McCarthy gone. Jordan Beck, gone. Antonio Senzatella, gone. Mickey Moniak, gone. Hunter Goodman for the right price, gone. Right? Like you have
Right.
these incredible assets that are on short term deals. Remove Hunter Goodman from this conversation. Hunter Goodman is just like one of the biggest assets in baseball at the moment. But like you
Right.
have these
Oh yeah.
incredible assets that you signed on free agency and they've turned out really well, and you have a bunch of really good homegrown players. So you trade the assets, the unassociated assets, you maintain the homegrown talent, and then you continue to build, right? So I give the Rockies an F for their trade deadline be, because they held on to short term assets that they had with no hope of being competitive this year, and got rid of one of their best assets from a fandom and a team perspective, someone that you can actually build. He can be a face of a
A
franchise.
fan.
And
Yeah.
you got rid of him as opposed to Jake McCarthy, who will never be the face of a franchise, but has way more upside trade value than Brenton Doyle does.
Right. It would have been the right thing
And
to do.
you're going to lose him. Okay, so you're going to lose him to free agency. And I think one of the ways that I actually look at, um, trade value and the way that things work are, I'm a huge soccer fan, right? And in soccer, you don't let if someone goes on a free and they become a agent, then you failed as an organization. You failed as an
Hmm.
organization because you had an asset and you didn't turn that asset into other assets for yourself. You let them go.
Right.
And you can't try to build a winning franchise, or forget winning franchise, a competitive franchise, if you have assets that you're unwilling to turn into profit in another way. And whether that be taking a risk, like the difference in baseball, don't ever fucking trade a baseball player for a draft pick. Never. I don't care if it's the number one draft pick in if you trade them with the Rockies for the number one draft pick. Like, don't
Yeah.
ever trade for a draft pick. Trade for a prospect, right? You trade for someone that has already been evaluated and shown some semblance of success, right?
Right.
And baseball does a better job than any other sport in constantly
It's probably
tracking
true.
the progress of prospect,
It's probably true.
right? So if you're the Rockies, then you look at your roster and you find your holes, right? So the biggest hole for the Colorado Rockies is their pitching staff. They don't have a second baseman. They now have a set outfield, but for the short term, right? Cole Carrig in center field, great. That's why the Rockies are willing to let go of Brendan Doyle, is because Cole Carrig has shown up and done so well in
Oh
Major
yeah.
League Baseball when Brenton got hurt, and Cole Carrig showed his value. So, like, from a business perspective, you can understand it, but at the same time, you didn't get what you needed in return for
Right.
BD, right? Like, you have a massive hole, and you have had a hole in this franchise since the literal outset of the franchise. Get
Right.
fucking pitchers. Get top quality pitching prospects. And they had a phenomenal pitching prospect in Chase Dolander. And they actually developed Chase Dolander in the way that they should have. Last year, they kind of fucked it up. They threw him to the Wolves, and he got absolutely shell shocked. Well, this year they slowly started to integrate Chase Dolander back in. Right? They had him out of the bullpen. They then had bullpen games where like I remember Jimmy Herget had an immaculate inning, and then the plan was bring Chase Dolander in regardless. And Chase came in and he did great in relief for Jimmy Herget. But like
Right.
they handled, shout out to Warren Schaefer, they handled that situation perfectly. You can't help it if Chase gets hurt, right? Chase got hurt, he's out for the season. It is what it is. That's the nature of the business. But they actually developed a prospect really well. They did it, right? And so they
There was some.
actually have figured out the tools to be able to do it. but then you have to take what you've learned and then do it with the next guy, right?
Right.
So I had seen um, a potential trade with the Red Sox. That the trade was Marcelo Meyer. I blank on his name every time, but the number one pitching prospect that the Red Sox had that went to Baltimore as a result of the Adley Rushman trade,
Um,
and
I don't know who that is actually.
one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, right? And I'd love to have an insider voice to know, like, did the Red Sox call the Rockies and the asking price was just too high, right? And that's why Adley or the prospect went to the Orioles and Marcelo went to the Giants, right? And so, like, they weren't willing to give up both of those players for one whatever.
Maybe.
But, like, if they were able to have pulled that off, I wouldn't have fully liked it because I think it would have gone away. But, like, if you trade Hunter Goodman, who is a cornerstone of the Colorado Rockies, if you want them to grow, then you need to be able to give him up for something that is in return has value that outweighs the value in other places, right? So if they were able to get Marcelo Meyer, then they have a set infield for the foreseeable future, right? You got Kyle Kiros at third base. You got Tovar at third base or at shortstop. You got Marcelo Meyer at second base, and you have TJ Rumfield at first. That is a young group that can grow, that has proven themselves, and you now have a set infield for the next 5 years,
Travis for
right?
GM. I'm telling you, man.
Fills voids. And then if you were to able to get a pitching prospect, the Rockies starting rotation is a fucking joke. Like the
Travis.
fact that Kyle Freeland was able to go out there and have a complete game the other day and win 8-1
Yeah.
is a miracle. Is an
Miracle.
absolute miracle.
Amazing
And
game.
the Rockies are holding on to Kyle Freeland, rightfully so. First of all, Kyle Freeland is an unbelievable human being. He's so nice. He's so kind. He is a good person, really good person. He's not the best pitcher that the Rockies have ever had. And, he's now set all the Rockies records. He is the most innings, most strikeouts, all that. Let him go off into the sunset. Go get rid of him. You know, they signed Michael Lorenzen to this deal, and Lorenzen was like a perennial +4 ERA. And they signed Michael Lorenzen because Lorenzen called the Rockies. The Rockies didn't call Lorenzen. Lorenzen called the Rockies, and they signed him. Like you're making decisions and you're doing things that don't improve the team. So take the assets that you have and turn them in and fill the holes that you don't, right? They have a plethora of outfielders. Fucking trade them for pitchers. Trade them for pitchers. And they didn't do that. And it just I don't really get their game plan at the end of the day. Oh, we lost our dog. Did we? Did we? Did we? I think we lost Orty. He's going to jump in a second. I can guarantee it. Um, but people, I know that this has been a heartfelt and heated conversation that I've been having, but it's because my heart is in a million different places, and I think that there are a lot of flaws in the current system of baseball that need to be addressed. I think that salary floor, not a salary cap, would drastically improve the way that most baseball teams become competitive in this league. There's no way that the bottom baseball team's payroll should be less than a single player on another team's payroll. Like that just makes no sense. You need to force the owners out there to be able to pay the money that they can afford to make the teams that they own more competitive. You can't sit there and say, let's set a salary cap so that the billionaires can make more money. It just makes no sense. It's an ass backwards way of looking at things. And while there is a lot of benefits to a salary cap and it's worked in a lot of different sports, I think that the way that baseball operates, a floor would be better in making the league competitive than it would a cap. I also think that a realignment would really help. I think that having teams that are perennially great with teams that are perennially shit in the same division doesn't make things competitive, right? And good on the Tampa Bay Rays for always kind of finding a way to get competitive in like a 10-year cycle, but it's not consistent. They don't consistently make that happen. And I think that there are ways that the collective bargaining agreement can be agreed upon in the next, hopefully, a couple of months that we have baseball next year, so that the Major League Baseball can become a more competitive league. I think you get rid of deferred contracts, you put in maximum contract length, you set a salary floor, and in a holistic way, those things bring they may keep the top at the top, but they bring the bottom up to compete with the top. And there are ways to do it. I mean, you can look at the White Sox. Good on the White Sox for getting Brendan Doyle. I think that is a phenomenal move for the Chicago White Sox. They went from one of the worst teams in baseball over the last couple of years to now one of the best teams in baseball. And I think Morikawa, or I'm blanking on his Murakami, sorry. Um, that was a phenomenal move by the White Sox, and it kind of shocked Major League Baseball. He came from the Japanese league as the reigning MVP, and I don't think many people would have thought that he would have gone to Chicago, but they did a phenomenal job in recruiting him and bringing him in. And there are ways that lower teams can compete, but when they do that, they need to be willing to shell out the cash in order to do that. So um, I'm really glad that you guys joined us. I'm so happy that the trade deadline's over. I can freaking sleep finally. And last thing I'll say is shout out to BD. Thank you for just being an amazing person, a great fan favorite. You're incredibly genuine. You're incredibly kind. You're a great family man. And I truly wish you, Brenton, all the best. Hopefully I can find my way out to Chicago and watch you play, because it's been a pleasure of my adult life to watch you patrol center field. It is just an unbelievable thing. I wish you and your family all the best. Good luck with your son, and guys, go get on your owner's ass. Hold them accountable for the way that they control your team and the money that they shell out. And have a good week. It's a beautiful summer. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer. Labor Day's around the corner. Don't sit there and wait for the summer to end. Go enjoy it. Go have some fun, and we will talk to you guys. We're not going to be here next weekend, unfortunately, but maybe we may do a midweek special while I'm in Cooperstown. And Ordog getting into his new apartment with his lovely girlfriend Madison. I wish you guys the best, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.